Hey everyone, welcome back to another explainer. If you are gearing up for your religious studies exams, you've landed in exactly the right spot. Today, we're tackling a massive, highly requested topic straight from your syllabus, Component 2, Life and Death. More specifically, we're zeroing in on Catholic beliefs about death. Now, I know revising can sometimes feel like trying to drink from a fire hose, right? It's a lot. But I'm super excited to be your guide today. We're going to break all this source material down into really clear, structured, bite-sized concepts, so you can walk into that exam hall with total confidence. Grab your notes, get comfortable, and let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our game plan for today's revision. First up, Component 2, the physical end. Then we'll look at the idea of changed, not ended. Third, eternal life and purpose. And finally, preparing to die well.
So, starting us off, Section 1, Component 2, the physical end. Let's really understand the biological reality of death.
Here is our foundational definition, and you're definitely going to want to jot this down. Death is the end of physical life, where the body completely ceases to function. If you're building out your flashcards for this exam, you really need to memorize this exact biological definition. It's absolutely crucial. You see, the Catholic view, it doesn't shy away from the harsh reality of passing away. It recognizes death, first and foremost, as a definitive, literal, physical end. The body just completely stops working. And acknowledging that biological cessation, well, that's step one in understanding the whole picture.
But right alongside that cold biological fact is a really important framing, and it's this. Death is a natural part of human experience. Think about that for a second. Catholics don't view this physical end as something unnatural or alien or like some weird glitch in the grand design. Actually, scratch that. It's more like they see it as an accepted, inherent step in the human journey. It's a shared experience that literally happens to absolutely everyone. And embracing death as this completely natural occurrence really sets the stage for all the theology that follows.
Moving on to Section 2, changed, not ended. This is the big Catholic theological pivot. And this brilliantly illustrates the absolute core of today's topic. Life is changed, not ended. Guys, if you highlight only one thing from this entire explainer today, make sure it's this massive quote. It's the ultimate anchor for your revision notes. The idea is that while the physical body stops, existence itself continues on. The nature of that life has simply transformed. It's an incredibly beautiful, powerful summary that perfectly bridges the gap between the physical end and the spiritual continuation.
Now, this right here is where you earn your top marks. It's all about understanding the duality. On one side, we have the physical reality, the literal end of physical life, where the body completely ceases to function. But on the other side, we have the spiritual reality, the belief that this is not the end of existence and life is merely changed. As a student, holding both the biological truth and the theological truth in your head at the exact same time is a classic concept you really must be able to evaluate. You've got to explain how the Church accepts the absolute biological reality of death while simultaneously gripping onto the promise of spiritual continuation. It's a real balancing act.
Which brings us to Section 3, eternal life and purpose. Let's talk about finding meaning in the promise of heaven.
The core teaching here is that Jesus taught believers will have eternal life and live with God after death. For your exams, you absolutely want to drop in specific biblical teachings. Remember verses like John 11:25, where Jesus says, "I am the resurrection and the life." This core promise basically means that faith in Jesus unlocks an eternal continuation of existence. Remember that changed life we just talked about? Well, it's specifically defined right here as an eternal life lived in the profound presence of God. That's the ultimate goal, the whole shebang of the Catholic faith.
So, what does this all mean in practice? Let's see how this belief translates into real-world actions. Because of this promise, Catholics actively support those approaching death, very often through the presence of a priest offering the sacrament of the sick. They also go out of their way to support grieving family and friends. Think about things like the funeral mass. These rituals offer immense comfort to families because they actively celebrate that promise of eternal life. Ultimately, all of this helps believers find deep meaning and purpose in life. It basically turns the theological promise of heaven into profound empathy for the dying and a really strong guiding purpose for the living.
All right, on to our final stretch. Section 4, preparing to die well. This is the major call to action for Catholics. I want you to ask yourself this question. What must Catholics do before their death? Just think about everything we've covered in this explainer so far. If death is a natural physical end, but life is changed into an eternal state with God, what is the logical action step for a believer while they're still physically walking around here on earth? Well, the definitive answer from the syllabus is this. Catholics must prepare to die well. But what does preparing to die well actually look like?
Practically, it involves a few key steps. It means spending quality time with family, making peace with others, like fixing broken relationships, and importantly, receiving the sacraments, like reconciliation and the last rites. This preparation is vitally important for Catholics because it ensures the soul is cleansed, totally at peace, and spiritually ready for that massive transition to face God and enter eternal life. So, the crucial point is, this is your final, vital action step to lock into your memory for your Component 2 exam.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a slightly provocative final thought to mull over as you hit the books. How does knowing that life is changed, not ended, completely reframe how you find meaning and purpose in your actions today? Because you see, it's not just about what happens after the physical body stops. It's about how that profound belief transforms your entire life right here, right now. Really keep that question in mind as you review your notes. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Keep up the fantastic focused learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.